Norway, the hidden paradise. Norway, a place where you could commit a crime and live in prison like it's a resort. Newborns are left to nap outside in -10 degrees Celsius weather. Women get paid without having to work. And the sun disappears for 2 whole months each year. Let's explore the mysteries of this country with TGtravel. 1. Commit murder in Norway, still live like you're at a resort. You could commit murder and end up living in a private room with all the amenities, TV, a recording studio, cooking classes, like a retreat in the middle of the Norwegian woods. This isn't fiction. This is a real prison, in a country known as the most peaceful in the world. Here, the goal isn't punishment. It's rehabilitation. Paradise beyond prison bars? On the edge of a lush forest in southern Norway, less than a 2-hour drive from Oslo, hidden behind tall trees is a place that will surprise anyone who hears about it, Halden Prison, known as the most humane prison on the planet. Here, those who commit serious crimes like murder, rape, and drug trafficking are not handcuffed, locked behind bars, or surrounded by screaming inmates and blood-soaked cells like in Hollywood movies. Instead, they have a cozy wooden bed, walls covered in art, private bathrooms, a communal kitchen stocked with fresh ingredients every day, and even a professional recording studio. One image shows an inmate in deep concentration, writing lyrics inside the studio, leaving many people mistaken for a creative retreat. But no, he was a convicted murderer serving 14 years for attempted murder. Here, the belief in rehabilitation is more important than punishment. In 2016, the world was shocked by what seemed like a joke. Anders Behring Breivik, the terrorist responsible for killing 77 people in Oslo and on the island of Utøya, filed a lawsuit against the prison where he was being held. And despite having committed the deadliest crime in Norway's modern history, the court accepted his case, arguing that every prisoner, yes, even an enemy of society, has human rights. Has this prisoners are still people model gone too far? My loved one was murdered. And the killer is having candlelit dinners, learning to draw, and playing video games. Is that fair? This model may be ideal, but to many, it seems unfair to victims. But the results are undeniable. Norway currently has the lowest recidivism rate in the world, just around 20%, compared to over 60% in the United States. The reason is simple: they don't turn prisons into hell, and they don't turn inmates into monsters. They turn prison into a place where people can relearn how to be human. Prisoners are given support to find work after release, receive psychological counseling, and most importantly, they aren't branded for life. The crime is in the past. But the person still has a chance. Though controversial, Norway has become a model of criminal justice reform for many countries. The Netherlands has started adopting the soft prison model, and ended up shutting down over 20 prisons due to a dramatic drop in crime. Germany is experimenting with psychological rehabilitation programs instead of long-term incarceration. The world is looking at Norway as an ethical laboratory, a place testing new ways of understanding justice and human nature. If you lost everything, would you want to be treated like a human, or like just a number? And if the person who killed you lived in a resort, could you forgive them? 2. Norwegian women, no husband, no job, still live like queens. 44% of Norwegian women in their 30s and 40s are unmarried. Nearly 50% of households in Oslo are single, mostly single women. In Norway, women don't need husbands to have children, don't need jobs to earn money, and don't need to be beautiful to be respected. They can be single all their lives and still be considered successful. Imagine a 35-year-old woman, single, not working, with no family obligations, but she still has government-subsidized housing, monthly social security payments that cover her living expenses, comprehensive health insurance, free education and free mental health care, and even free bus passes if she's a single mother. Sound like heaven? I don't want to get married. I don't like working for a company either. I paint, hike, and sometimes help refugee kids learn Norwegian. I live well, and I don't owe anyone an explanation. Women having children on their own, no husband, no stigma. I want to be a mother. But I don't want to live with anyone. I'm happy becoming a mom in my own way. This is one of the most surprising and shocking phenomena to much of the world. More and more Norwegian women are choosing to have children on their own, without a partner. There's no judgment, no being labeled a poor single mom. On the contrary, they're often praised for being brave and taking charge of their own lives. In Norway, women can proactively request sperm from trusted donor banks, have children according to their personal timeline, receive child-rearing support just like any other family, and even live in special apartment complexes designed for modern single mothers, with daycare, private play areas, and mental health support services. A woman's success is not about marrying a good man. Norway defines women's success in a completely different way. It's not about beauty, it's not about having a husband who's a CEO. It's not about being the perfect wife and loving mother. It's about living a life that aligns with your own values. A female CEO can be single, own a cat, wear no makeup, skip the heels, dress simply, and still be respected. No one stares. No one judges. I don't need a man, and I'm doing just fine. Because women no longer rely on anyone, not for money, not for social status, and definitely not for self-worth. The world sees them as a strange phenomenon. To many countries, a society where women can live alone for life, receive support without having to work, have children without needing a man, and never be labeled as left on the shelf, is something deeply unfamiliar, almost hard to believe. But in Norway, it's considered a standard of progress. They don't define women by traditional roles, but by their ability to live true to themselves. Is this the image of the modern woman, or a future that feels a little too cold? 3. Totally crazy, Norwegian babies sleep outside, in -10 degrees Celsius weather. You might spot a tiny stroller sitting quietly in the snow. No mom in sight. No one watching over it. Just the sound of icy wind whispering through coat sleeves. And inside, a baby, fast asleep. Newborns are bathed in the cold, so they can grow up to be warriors. The whole world is shocked, Norwegians just smile. One winter morning in Oslo, with the temperature at -7 degrees Celsius, 19 degrees Fahrenheit, a foreign tourist was startled by something she saw. A newborn baby, fast asleep in a stroller, left alone on the sidewalk, surrounded by freezing mist. No adults around. No cover. Not a sound. Panicked, she called the police, thinking the baby had been abandoned. But the officer calmly replied, "Don't worry. This is normal. The mother is probably just inside that cafe. The baby is taking a nap." Norwegians believe that cold air helps babies sleep more deeply and cry less. Early exposure to harsh weather is said to strengthen the immune system and lower the risk of respiratory infections. It also helps kids grow up physically stronger and better adapted to Norway's Arctic climate. We're not crazy. We just believe fresh cold air is better than indoor heating. This is a calculated practice, not something random. Babies are usually dressed in high-quality thermal wear, made of wool, fleece, windproof layers. Strollers come with down sleeping bags, insulated padding, snow covers, and are placed in sheltered, wind-free spots. Parents always use baby monitors or keep an eye on them from a distance. Behind the strange custom, a thought-provoking educational philosophy, Norwegians don't let their babies sleep outside just out of habit. It stems from a deeper belief in natural growth and resilience. From a young age, children are treated as independent individuals, capable of adapting, exploring, and most importantly, being trusted. No one screams when a child climbs a tree. No one stops them from rolling down a hill. No one panics when a toddler sits and plays in the snow. Because of that, Norwegian kids tend to grow up independent, less reliant on adults, confident, and unafraid of nature.